How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's been so nice to get out this weekend and enjoy like warm weather and planting and exercising outside and all that kind of stuff.
I know. And every time for us, I think the whole weekend was forecasted as rainy, but
Yeah,
really, it's been really nice so far.
right. It's like the benefit of being a race director for years is like I really don't even like take any stock in the forecast until we're like there that day. So it's been, and it seems like that's been a good strategy for this
That's
weekend.
probably a good way to go into it. Otherwise, you're just going to increase your stress factor a whole bunch.
Oh, totally. No need to do any extra worry these days.
That's exactly right. We were talking about unstoppable kids last time, and today we're going to talk a little bit about setting goals and why it's so important to set goals, especially right now, because as school tails off and we're all in this sort of, I don't know, weird spot where we don't have plans, but yet things are starting to open up. How do you set a goal and move towards it, and what it can do for your brain? So before we start that, for anybody who didn't catch us last time, tell us about Unstoppable Kids, what it is, who it's for, when it's happening.
Sure. So Try for Schools, our nonprofit organization, is putting on an Unstoppable Families race on June 20th and 21st. So this is an at-home race. It's a bike and run. If you don't have a bike, you can actually do. We have a strength workout that people can do, like body weights, and it's open to anyone, any age. We're calling it kids of all ages. So we're encouraging families to sign up for this to do it all together. But if you just want to do it as individuals or as kids, that's totally fine as well, just like any of our races. So people can sign up for one of four distances, and we're actually excited because we have this new fourth distance. It's called our ultra distance, where this is brand new for us, and it's meant to kind of provide another goal for families that have been doing our races or kids that have been doing our races for years and want to try to take their training at home to the next level.
Oh, it just sounds amazing. I just really feel like, especially maybe not, it's my family, we need some kind of goal or direction. When all the sports got canceled in spring and nobody's been able to do anything, right now, we would be going to baseball or planning out races. For me, planning out races for the summer. For my kids,
right? Or even summer camps and things like that, which are going to look really different as well,
Yeah, but all those things being off means that some of those goals that we set, especially when it comes to physical activity, are on hold, and we're sort of just, left to our own devices. And this is a good way to funnel that energy that kids already have, and funnel it into something fun that you could do for your family that would get you all motivated.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal, is that it's something that's fun but kind of carries us through this really interesting time of the year. And I think like the May-June timeframe is always one of a little bit of like transition and change, and hopefully it's something that like families can look forward to, that they can all do together, and that's something that also celebrates the fact that we're able to be outdoors. And maybe if people have been biking and being outside a lot this spring, they can kind of share in the success of putting all that effort in.
Yeah, and tell me again, there's how many, is it 3 different distances? You and I were just talking about this about our kids.
Yeah, so there's 4. We have a short,
right.
a medium, a long, and then this new ultra distance.
Ultra distance.
And we have recommended ages for those, but really, for our kids with the triathlons, when these are in their typical triathlon format, the swim is kind of what limits them to the distance that they're going to pick. But now, with just biking and running, we're trying to encourage them to kind of take that next step, and instead of doing the distance they normally do, to try to go one further. And with our daughter in particular, I think she's ready to do a longer distance, but I think she might opt for the one she's comfortable with. So I think that's one thing I was looking forward to chatting with you about, is how do we find that balance of like helping her to set an ambitious goal, even if it might be a little scary.
Yeah, it was so funny. Katie and I were talking too, because we have sort of the same thing going on in our family too, where, and I think part of it is they have not been doing sports for the whole spring season. So I think there's a little apprehension there about diving in and doing something.
Right.
I always say, for brain growth purposes, the best thing to do is to reach as far outside of your comfort zone with it still being in your ability level.
That is a really good way to phrase it. I
Yeah,
like that.
so there's a zone. It's called the zone of proximal development. It's by Lee Vygotsky. And what you do is to have optimal brain growth. You don't want to be in something that's too easy for you. Your brain does not make any neurological connections if you choose something and it's a snap for you. But if you choose something that's too far out of your ability level, like the ultra distance for my youngest kid is too far out of her ability level,
Right.
then you're setting them up for failure. But so you want to find that sweet spot in the middle, because that's the most neurological brain growth you're going to have. And the thing about, I think I love about picking new courses and distances is aim for that one that's just outside of that comfort zone. You can always go backwards, and your kid does not need to know that they can go backwards. But you get to know that if something happens, but it gives them something to strive towards. And one of the coolest things about setting goals, this is where I get all jazzed, Katie, is what we want kids to use their prefrontal cortex. That's, if this is my brain diagram, that's that front part of your brain right here. Your prefrontal cortex and another part of your brain have to work in tandem for you to reach goals. The other part, and I use it, it's in the middle of the brain, it's a little almond shape, it's called your amygdala. And your amygdala is your emotional center of your brain. Those two, almost like a bicycle pedaling, have to work together to have you meet goals, which is awesome, because when you're learning at school, you need your prefrontal cortex to be your thinking part of your brain, and you need to have control of your emotions and that self-regulation to be able to function and have social emotional engagement with others, and to really be able to be calm enough to take the learning in. So when you're doing one of these races, or you're planning for one of these and you're setting the goal and a little bit outside of your comfort zone, you're actually training your brain for so many other areas too, for greater learning, for greater emotional control, for greater connection with others. So it is so good to have goals for our brain. Our brains love puzzles and trying to figure things out. And the minute the minute we sort of just sit back and say, like, I'm not really gonna today, our brain starts to get bored. And sometimes when our brain gets bored, it starts to think about things it can worry about, because it's looking for things to do. And so when we do keep that active engagement of working towards a goal and setting those small actionable steps towards our goal, it's bite-sized pieces for our kids. So don't start off doing the whole race at the beginning if your kid's not currently doing anything, but just take those small steps towards it, and you're having that huge neurological brain growth and building that self-confidence all at the same time.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I feel like that's a really good way to kind of explain it to, like a kid in a certain age range, right? Like, and the neat thing I think about that is that ties in so well with like a lot of what we talk about with our after school programming, is that exercise is, and social emotional, like, these benefits and the lessons that you'll learn aren't things that will just serve you when you're setting goals for yourself in sports, or when you're exercising. They'll help you with your goals in the classroom, or wherever the world takes you. And so it's just like, it's really great because it's developing these like pathways for learning in a whole variety of contexts.
Yeah, and you hear that so often from parents. My child was having difficulty managing emotions, or my kid was frustrated, or my kid was having meltdowns all the time, and then we enrolled them in, or then they did this sport, or then they tried taekwondo, or then they got involved in gymnastics, or then they did a try for schools race. And because they have that focused energy of goal setting, they're actually also training their brains at the same time how to maintain that emotional balance and that self-regulation that they need. So it's not just physical training you're doing, you really are mentally training those two, your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala, to work together in tandem to help you be a successful person.
Right. Well, and then that's like what I think when I think about the things I want for my kids, at least in life, it's to be, healthy, happy, confident, and resilient, and so like building all of those things through having really tangible goals that they can set for themselves, and goals that can grow with them. I think is such a key thing. So, and it's really cool to see the learning and how their bodies are working to help accomplish those goals.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I spend a whole month in the Rooted Family Circle, and we just talk about setting family goals and North Star goals. And so, how you do that as a family, I find families have a really hard time, especially as kids grow up, when the kids come to them and say, "Can I have a phone? Can I have this? Should I go there?" And parents might say, "Oh gosh, we're navigating so much right now." So these North Star goals that we teach kids how to do and we teach parents how to do just really helps everybody get streamlined and the whole family sort of work toward a common goal. It's much easier to have everybody rowing the boat in the same direction than
Right.
have two people looking for seagulls, one person throw their oar in the water, and then the boat just goes around in a circle.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. Well, that sounds amazing because it was like, I think a lot of times we forget that a family is a team as well, so it's
Yeah.
like we need to work together and all be on the same page. And then, like, think of the consistency then that you gain in anytime you have to make a decision, which, like if you don't have that North Star and everybody working together, that's, 10 times more difficult.
Yeah, well, and I just think it builds family resiliency. Families need resiliency too. And when you do something like one of these races, Unstoppable Family Races, you as a family have to learn how to work together in a small situation to get yourselves to where you want to be. And the cool thing is everybody's working at their own ability level, but it is a team
Mm-hmm.
effort if you want it to be. So that you train yourself so if something big does happen or you do have a family setback, then you've trained yourself with those resiliency skills to move through it.
Yeah. So, like, let's say there's a global pandemic that your family has to now navigate through.
Totally. I mean, if one of those were to come by,
Yeah.
you might have
Let's
some
say.
resiliency built in.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
talk about pressure cooker situation, right? Like, here's where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. Well, and I do think for those kids, that's a good point. For those kids that are having worries and anxieties, and sometimes it does give their brain something to shift to that's very goal oriented.
Right.
That allows their brain to sort of take a break or a breather from looping on.
Yeah.
And it's not even stuff they're stressed about too, but things that they're missing. I know that
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of disappointment too with kids. So this gives them something to focus on that's a positive. So I
Right.
think
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Something to look forward to, and a good goal to, kind of be working towards that can occupy more of that space.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because we have two kiddos that are trying to decide what race they want to do.
Uh-huh.
And I was, we sort of had this discussion today, and I was like, well, let's think about where we want to put ourselves in the trying category. And
Mm-hmm.
so I gave them sort of by the end of today, I was like, we need to sign up. So by the end of today, friends, you need to pick your course. They've been hemming and hawing. So we'll have to, the next time we get on for this next one, I'll have to tell you what they picked.
Yeah, that's cool. We're actually on the same time frame. So we brought up the subject at dinner last night, and then tonight is the night where we make our choices. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2.
Yay! Well, Katie, it's been so nice to talk to you today, and we'll be on next Monday as well. We'll be talking a little bit about kindness and giving back and sort of that component of that and what that does in your brain. And also, I'm excited to see what your kids pick for their race.
Yeah.
And we'll just be talking a little bit more too about if your family wants to join our families in doing this Unstoppable Families Race. We'd love to have you guys join us, as many people as possible, and it gives back to your kids' school, which is amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be really cool to hear more about, like what happens in my brain when I'm kind and compassionate.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff, that's for sure. All right, Katie, well, have a great day.
Thanks, you too, Erin. Talk to you soon.
Bye.